Well, good morning, guys. Welcome back. It's been about probably about 2 weeks since my last video. Had quite a bit going on. Had a wedding to get to one weekend. Had a funeral to get to the next. So things have been kind of busy. Doing a bit of traveling and stuff. But now we're back, feet on the ground, ready to go. And we got, as normal, a lot going on. So sun just coming up behind me here. It's really a cool morning. We're in the low 30s right now. We actually had a freeze watch last night. So yeah, I'm not quite sure. We got in late last night and just saw the alerts on the computer, and that's just kind of what we woke up to. So I just now got the fire going. I've got actually some slab wood there that's getting burned because during all of what was going on, I only had a couple days in between us traveling, so I milled up some of these logs, and I just kind of stacked up the slab pile because I didn't want to get that burning. We had some windy days. I had a flat on the four-wheeler, so I had to get that fixed. It was really just one thing after another, trying to get trying to get everything done that I needed to get done in order to make all the traveling and stuff, all the trips we had to do happen. So yeah, so we're back now, feet on the ground, we're running, and the morning is just getting going. So you see here behind me, I've got two more of these logs. Now these logs came from down in the camping area. These were logs that have been down years. They've been sitting there. Some of these, actually using these from down in the camping area, because these were actually off the ground. They were sitting on some logs and things like that, so they just dried out. And the first stuff I milled with them, it was a bunch of 2x material, 2x4s and 4x4s. So we'll see how they turn out. I'm not quite sure how that kind of older wood is gonna, I don't know, dry more. The stuff seems super dry. In fact, the slab wood that I barely had to put any liquid on in order to get them going. So it shouldn't be too bad. So we'll see how they turn out. But I've got two up here, and I've got two that are still down in the camping area. I've got to take the log arch out there and grab those and bring them up. But you can see there's no bark on those logs either. So the bark has come off. They've been down there for a good while, and the actual lumber looked great. So it wasn't much. I didn't film any of it. Like I said, I was running around. I would mill for a minute, then I have to go inside and handle some business, then come back out, and it would have been a nightmare to try and get all that on video. But just know things are still happening around here. So I also cleaned up the footer areas at cabin 2 because they had been basically abandoned for maybe about a month or something like that. It was really not a great scene, in that I had to dig out all of the leaves that were in there. I had to dig out all of the dirt that was kind of rolled down in there from the rain that had been getting here. Of course, I had the tubes that I put in that are ruined, that I have to get new tubes and stuff like that to put down there. So I did a little bit of cleaning up on that. And that's going to get rolling here relatively soon as well. I think today I'm going to spend time milling these logs, and I should finish all 4 of those logs today. And I looked at the weather, we have about 7 days of rain coming in, so I'm not really sure what else is going to happen, at least this week. Yeah, we're going to figure things out as we go along and just knock the things out that I can, obviously, and we'll make it happen. So I got the fire going. That's the first step here. Got to get these the rest of these logs. So let me get on the four-wheeler, get the log arch, get the other 2 up here, and then we're going to get going on some milling stuff. So come along, here we go. I just hooked up the log arch here. I wanted to show you one of the things I just kind of came up with. I've been trying to think of a way to get all of this lumber here has got to go down the hill, and I don't really have. My idea was that I was just going to put it on, load it on the trailer, and then just drive it down around the driveway and stuff like that. But I don't know if that's the best way to do it. and I also have this way now, which again, I don't know if this is the best way to do it or not, but of that that lumber that I had just milled last week, I have a 12-inch wide piece. This is a 1x12 that's on here that's dangling from these chains from the log arch here. So all of the 4x and 2x4 material that I made, I would generally hand carry down to cabins. If you remember, the 4x4s are in cabin 3 and the 2x4s are in cabin 1. So I would generally hand carry those down, you know, two or three at a time to their respective places. So I came up with this little rig here. So it's using the log arch. This is a 1x12. So I'm able to stack a bunch of that lumber onto there and get it down there in a more efficient manner. So I'm not having to, you know, make my days any longer than what it is. So this is just a way you're probably going to see me using this method quite a bit. Again, getting a lot of this cut lumber down to the cabins for all of the siding and everything like that. So yeah, that's kind of where we sit. I got to get that board off right now, and then we will head down to the camping area and get those other 2 logs. All right, guys, managed to get those other 2 logs up here by the mill. I've already got one cranked up here onto the rack. We're gonna spray that off again. These don't have bark on it, so I don't expect to have to change any blades with them, and it should go relatively well. You know, we'll see once we get into it, though. Probably not going to film a lot of this as far as the cutting aspect because I want to get through these 4 today. It's already pushing 11 o'clock in the morning here, so you know, I want to get these done today. Like I said, we got some rain coming in, and I'm not going to be out here on the mill when it's raining. So basically what I'm looking to get out of these 4 logs, because of how my building, the plans on my building are, the insulation that is going to be going up between the sheathing sections is going to be 2.5 inches of rigid foam board insulation. Plans call for 2 inches. Inspector wants 2.5 to get that R13 value out of it. So guess what? We're doing 2.5 inches of foam board insulation. So what I need basically for the nailers, so you're going to have the inside sheathing, and then there's a be house wrap or something around that, and then 2.5 inches of insulation, and then the exterior sheathing. But in order to keep that exterior sheathing attached to the building, I need stuff to nail into. So these 2.5 inch boards are going to basically be nailers that will connect kind of everything together between those 2 sections of foam board insulation. So I say 2 sections. I mean, I'm going to have a 2 inch piece of insulation and then a 1/2 inch, because they don't sell 2.5 inches thick foam board insulation, or at least nothing off the shelf. I imagine you could order just about anything, I imagine, but again, I'm not absorbing that cost into that. So yeah, so I need a bunch of nailers. Also, those nailers are going to be used to create the window frames in between the sheathing as well. So yeah, I think these 4, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use these 4 logs, and I'm just going to make a bunch of 2.5 inch wide boards. So at some point, I haven't figured out, they're 2.5 by, you know, fill in the blank. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's going to be 3. I don't know if I'm going to do them square at 2.5 by 2.5. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut them 2.5 inches thick, and then leave that for kind of like TBD once I kind of get down there and start looking at it. I'll have to kind of take another look at the plans to see what the plans really call for. But again, I'm already beyond that, because I'm a 1/2 inch thicker. So with the insulation is what I'm talking about. So probably cut them. I'll make myself a nice little cant, and then start chopping 2.5 inch boards off it. So I'm going to keep them wide boards, maybe 10 or 12 inches. So these are already very dry, and I don't think they're going to have much warping at all once they really start to get on the rack and start to dry out. So, but I'm going to keep them in boards. That way, when the time comes, I can just rip them down on my table saw and get whatever width I need for them. So it might be a 2.5 by a 4, it might be 2.5 by 3. It's really going to depend on the size of the cant that I get out of that. For instance, I don't want to make an 8 inch wide cant and then have to cut like a 3 inch board, because that'll be a 3, a 6, and then I'll be 2 inches, on the last board. I want to try and maximize the use of, whatever size cant I can get. So I'm going to hope to get a 12. If not, I'll knock that down to 10. Of course, I'll have to add, 1/8 of an inch for cut for the kerf of either the mill or the table saw. So all that's kind of got to be factored in. So I'm going to get these washed off, get them on the mill, get them cut, and then we'll, I might bring you in at some point during the day just to kind of see how things are going. Okay. All right, guys, we'll check in a little bit. Well, I just finished up my first log here. I just want to show you how it went. So I ended up having a 10 by 10 cant. Okay, so these are 10 inches wide, and these are 2.5 inches thick. Everything here, this one, and then these two, they're all 2.5 inches thick. So, because the sapwood along these has quite a few bug holes. I mean, these logs have been sitting down there for some time. So I was fully expecting that to happen. So I think I'm going to go with a 4 inch wide board. So 2.5 inches thick, 4-inch wide, which is what these are here. Okay, so I got 2 boards like that. I should be able to get 2 boards out of this, and then maybe 1 out of this, because I'm gonna probably end up cutting a lot of that sapwood off to get that 4 inches out of the middle. So that may be how this goes. I also got a 4x4 out of the middle with the pith, so it came out almost perfect. So I don't anticipate this to bow or cup at all. It should be pretty good. And then I only made 2 sacrificial cuts. I lost maybe a 1/2 inch on each of those cuts, but then the slab wood is right there. So yeah, this one came out good. I think this is going to be the plan for the rest of them. Really just try and see how I can best get 2.5 inch boards out of these remaining logs that are over here. Now, this was the last log of a tree that was down in one area. These 3 are part of another tree that was down. So we'll see how these boards come out from these logs over here. But this one, I mean, like I said, everything I've cut so far out of those trees that were down has turned out great. And I haven't taken a reading yet on what the moisture content of these boards are, but I might do that here later on, but we'll see. I want to get through the logs, and then, you know, we'll play around later. But yeah, that's what it's looking like. So these are all going to go in between my interior and exterior sheathing as nailers for windows and also the exterior sheathing. All right, guys, on to the next one. Well, second log just came off the mill here, and it's just about a mirror image of the first log that I put up there today. A little wider on some of these wider boards. So these are 2.5 thick by 11 wide, these 2 here. Okay, and then the same thing, I got this kind of the same pieces off. These are 2.5 by 4, this one, and then this is a 4x4 here. So everything came out great. Again, these logs here were a lot less bug holed than the last tree that I was milling. So I'm expecting good things here out of these last two logs. You see my burn pile down here. This is the wood. Of course, the stuff I took off today, the slab wood and everything, is over here inside the cart, because that's going to go down for future burning places down by the cabins and then also in the camping area. But the wood is almost gone, the stuff that I cut the other day, maybe a week ago or so. So the stuff is super dry. Well, not super dry, but much drier than the green wood that I've been burning over there every day as I've been milling. So this is great to come off here. Again, I'll be able to get at least 2 boards out of each one of these long ones. There is some sapwood. I'm not quite sure how good that comes through. There is some sapwood on each side that can be cut off. And, you know, just really the best part of the interior part of these boards will get used. So, yeah, so super excited. It worked out great. And, yeah, we're ready to move on. Log number 3 just came off the mill. Pretty much, again, another good set of lumber here. Ended up with a 1x4. I was kind of making do with a sacrificial cut that I made. So that's a 1x4. Here's a 2.5 by 10. This is another 2.5 by 10. A 2.5 by 4. A 4x4. And a actual 2x4. So the pith on this 4x4 was a little kind of off center, so I had to kind of shave off the top, and that's how that 1x4 came into existence there. So, but all in all, I think it came out rather well. You can probably see the pith pretty well in there. So there's going to be some checking. I mean, I've got some drying and things in there. There's going to be some checking on that 4x4, but I mean, well, straight is straight, so let's hope for straight. All right, guys, I got one more. My debris pile is now down to just about ash. I've thrown some other things on there a little bit just to kind of keep it smoldering pretty well. I've got 1 log left, and another byproduct of what that log, some of the cut that was again, what led to this 1x4 here. I had some longer 10-inch wide, 1-inch thick pieces, and I made those all into stickers. So my sticker pile, most of I have them sitting out over there in the sun on top of that pad that's there. So they are nice and crispy and dry, and they are starting to stack up. So I don't think I'll be out of stickers anytime soon. All right, guys, last log, here we go. All right, guys, last log finally off the mill today. It's about 5 in the afternoon, so it was a full day of getting stuff done here with the mill. So last log was a bit smaller, so this is how I ended up. This is a 2.5 by 10 and a 2.5 by 10, 4x4, and a 2.5 by 4. So 4 good boards out of that. Again, I'll probably just use the middle section of these. You can see the discoloration and stuff there. That's the sapwood. And there are some bug holes here in the sapwood, so a lot of that's going to be cut out. But I should have some pretty good boards out of that once it comes time to use it. So again, everything came out nice, and yeah, we're okay. We got those four logs done today. That was a good job to have done. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap it up for me today. Like I said, good day getting some stuff done here. Definitely left the mill and this area up here, the wood dry and everything, in a good place, I think. And of note, I did walk my moisture meter around. I must have tested probably 50 boards over there just to make sure I wasn't going crazy. But most of that wood that is sitting over there now is somewhere between 7 and 9% moisture. So I am real happy with that. And I'm not sure how much more it's going to shrink beyond that once it, dries that little bit extra. But 7 to 9% is well within working range, at least for what I'm looking to do. So I'm pretty excited about that, and that's probably still going to be there in those piles for, another couple weeks. So it's only going to get better as long as I, keep it covered and keep it dry. Last note, some of you steely-eyed killers out there may have noticed on the front of the four-wheeler, a little something extra hanging off the front there. Something I've been kind of kicking around about to pick it up, and I went ahead and did it. Again, this was over this little last couple weeks and stuff. So I attached the winch to the front of the four-wheeler now. So I have some very specific plans for it. I've got some oak that is down over a tree or down over a cliff. I need to winch up. That last tree that I spent all day getting those logs up really wore me out. And I don't have a problem with that, but I don't have time to continually do that. I need to really manage my time much better than just kind of, bouncing around with the, pulling logs up and stuff. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy it, but, we've got to stay on mission here, and that's, that's most important. So, okay, guys, that's it for me today. Like I said, we're going to have another great evening out here. I got some cleaning up to do, then it's on to something better. So don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. It's free. Why not? We'll see you on the next one.